Okay.
Good morning, Chairperson, members, Garrett and Vollendroff, staff and guests. The lobbies are finally open and the recording has begun.
Thank you, Gretchen. Good morning, everybody. We'll convene the board caucus for Tuesday, August 27th, 2024. Our first item is to review a memorandum of agreement drafted with the South Seattle Tribe of Indians, and Dr. Marla Conwell, our tribal and government liaison, is here to brief us on that. We'll take action on it tomorrow morning.
Good morning, Chairperson, members of the board, and audience present. I'm happy to bring forward this memorandum of agreement for the Soxhawtl Tribe of Indians. They have currently been, up until now, a regular state licensee with one location not located on their tribal grounds. And they now have set up and opened, or getting ready to open, their Two Rivers Casino located on their reservation, and relocated their smoke shop adjacent to the casino. So they'll be opening an umbrella MOA if it gets approved. And I'm happy to bring this MOA forward for the board to consider. If there are any questions.
I just have one, which, so I went through the document. We have the new standard dispute resolution language in here, right?
Correct.
Great.
Everything's up to date.
Okay, good. Any other questions for?
I just have one quick question. I'm not familiar with this tribe, and I thought I was familiar with all the tribes. So where is this tribe located?
They are up north to the east of Bellingham. So it's near the Bellingham area, but further inland than along the coast. So they're a little bit more remote.
Oh, great. Well, thank you. And I appreciate all your work on with the tribes. And I especially appreciate the effort that the tribes have made to actually come to board meetings when they can. Obviously, not everybody can make it all the times, but it's always great to have them participate in the actual board meetings as well. So thank you for your efforts in helping facilitate that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. The tribes actually they're near Darrington.
Yes.
In Skagit County. In fact, real close to the Oso landslide. That's how I know them from the work they did then. And
those are the kind of landmarks I need in order to pinpoint where they're at. Oso.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you tomorrow. Now we'll move to policy and rules team updates and some board meeting prep, and I'll turn it over to Cassidy West, the policy and rules manager.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairperson, board members Garrett and Vollendroff. I'll provide you with a brief update this morning on our current rulemaking timelines, as well as highlight some of the key upcoming actions. Starting with alcohol rulemaking efforts, we're working on emergency liquor permits rule, which implements House Bill 2204. This rule allows liquor manufacturers to sell products at other licensed premises during emergencies. We've scheduled the CR 102 filing for October 23rd with a public hearing on December 4th. After the hearing, we'll proceed with the CR 103 filing on December 18th, aiming for the rule to take effect on January 18th. Now shifting to cannabis rulemaking, we have several important projects in progress. First, we're moving forward with the cannabis samples rule under WAC 314-55096. This rule is designed to streamline requirements for vendor educational and internal quality control samples. We've already filed the CR 102, which Justin did so at the last board meeting on August 14th, and we've scheduled the public hearing for September 25th. Following the hearing, we'll be filing the CR 103 on October 9th, which means the rules would become effective on November 9th. With regards to the minors on non-retail premises rule project, amending WAC 314-55015, the rule addresses the conditions under which minors can be present on the licensed producer or processor premises. We're set to file the CR 102 on October 9th, with a public hearing and CR 103 filing planned for December 4th. The goal is to have the rule effective by January 18th, 2025. Moving on to our social equity and cannabis program covered under WAC 314-55570. This rule implements and grows second substitute 5080. We filed the CR 102 on August 6th. It was presented up to the board on July 31st. And the public hearing is scheduled for September 11th. We'll follow up with the CR 103 filing on September 25th, assuming all goes well at the public hearing, and aiming for an effective date of October 26, 2024. Additionally, on September 25th, the board will consider 4 petitions related to the social equity program with regards to title certificate holders. One of these petitions was actually received yesterday. All of the petitions asked for the same request, so that's why we're presenting them on the 25th. With regards to the THC bill implementation, this rule, we filed CR 102 on August 6th with the social equity, was approved at the January 31st, and the public hearing is set for September 11th. The CR 103 will be filed on September 25th, and we expect the rule to be effective on October 26th. Cannabis flexible payment terms under WAC 314-55115. The CR 102 was filed on July 31st, and we have I apologize, I have the timeline incorrect for this, so I will come back to it and move on to medical cannabis excise tax exemption rule, which we have the hearing for today. And the rule implements Substitute House Bill 1453. The CR 102 was filed on July 17th, and we conducted a public hearing on, we will be conducting a hearing today on August 28th. The CR 103 is set to be filed on September 11th, and we're aiming for an effective date on October 12th. Now moving on, the sale of cannabis. Yes, would you like shorter timelines?
No, just to be clear, the hearing would be tomorrow, right? Not today?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Today is not the 28th. Today is the 27th. I apologize.
Okay, just making sure.
Thank you. No, thank you for that. So the sale of cannabis waste roll under WAC 314-55097, implement substitute Senate Bill 5367. So we'll be, I think I just said this, filing the CR 102 on September 11th. Public hearing is scheduled for the public hearing will be on September 11th with the CR 103 filed on September 23rd. So this files the same timeline as the social equity. Regarding the the transfer of lab accreditation authority. And so this is implementing substitute House Bill 2151. We're planning to file the CR 102 on September 25th with a public hearing scheduled for the public hearing has September 25th. Actually, sorry, I have an update here. And so we may be revising the timeline for this. We've had a lot of stakeholder interest in the rulemaking, and we want to make sure that we're collaborating with WSCA since this is an interagency situation. And then finally, I'll address the employee stock ownership program. And I'm happy to go back to the other 2 timelines following the presentation by Daniel and Jeff, so I can just follow up with the team. But finally, we're addressing the employee stock ownership rule. And this is amending WAC 314-55035. The rule allows cannabis businesses, employees of cannabis businesses to have stock ownership through, and the CR 102 is scheduled for December 18th with a public hearing. CR 102 is scheduled for December 18th. We haven't had the 2025 board schedule yet, and so I'm not going to provide dates for those until that's settled. And then finally, with regards to general rulemaking updates, Jeff will be presenting a CR 105 today on gender neutral pronouns, and that's it. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I will pass it along to Daniel and Jeff for their briefings.
Yeah, I don't see any questions, so we'll move on to Daniel Jacobs. Thanks.
Thank you. Daniel, your mic is off.
Sorry, my internet decided to give out, and so that's why you're getting this fantastic view of me on my work phone. But hopefully we'll be able to get through this. Can you hear me okay?
Come through loud and clear.
Perfect. Good morning, Chair Postman, members Garrett and Vollendroff. I'm going to preview that the public hearing that'll be held tomorrow on implementing substitute House Bill 1453 on the medical cannabis patient excise tax exemption. As of today, we've received one comment on this rulemaking, and that was a comment from a stakeholder that was complimenting the LCB in general on all of the medical cannabis related rulemaking that we've gotten done this year. That's, like I said, the only comment that we've received thus far. Assuming that we don't get a flood of comments or,
We just lost you there, Daniel. Maybe
Sorry,
you
assuming
froze
that
up. Maybe you should turn your camera off, save a little bandwidth. Let's see if we can just go with audio. Great, thank you.
is that better?
So far, yeah, sounds good.
Okay, excellent. So assuming that, so like I said, we only received one comment. It was in support of the rule language and just our medical cannabis rulemaking in general. Assuming nothing changes during tomorrow's public hearing, we'll be filing the 103 on September 11th, and the new rule language will be in effect October 12th. Just as a quick recap, 1453 was passed during the legislative session, went into effect on June 6th. It exempts cannabis sales from a 37% excise tax if all the following conditions are met. The cannabis is purchased by a registered patient or designated provider with a recognition card. The cannabis is Department of Health compliant, and the retailer holds a medical cannabis endorsement. The LCB is given rulemaking authority to identify the records that need to be kept by retailers, demonstrating that these requirements are met. And the excise tax reporting form is supposed to be changed, which it already has been. The tax exemption currently is scheduled to expire in June 2029. The LCB has issued a series of guidance documents on this law, given that it's already in effect and the rules won't be effective until October 12th at the earliest. The most recent guidance was issued just last month on label approval. We held 2 stakeholder engagement sessions in early June and incorporated some of that feedback into the draft rule language. We've amended 3 existing rule sections to address this new excise tax exemption, including 314.55.083 on traceability, 314.55.087 on record keeping generally, and 314.55.089 on tax reporting. These have all been changed to address these new requirements, and we've additionally created a new rule to encapsulate the requirements, and that's going to be found at 314.55.090. Our new section 314.55.090 repeats the requirements of 1453, as well as giving a little bit more detail about them, and specifically saying that retailers need to keep the following documents for every sale where they exempt the excise tax: the date of the sale, the patient recognition ID number, as well as expiration and effective date on the recognition card presented, identifying information for what products are sold, which the excise tax is being exempted from, and lastly, the total sales price. I'm happy to go into more detail tomorrow before the public hearing. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, don't see any questions. So thank you for that.
And then actually just one quick last thing before I go. I just wanted to update folks on the cannabis payment flexibility rulemaking timeline. Cassidy actually had it correct. The 102 was filed July 31st. And along with the other 102s that were presented during that board meeting, the public hearing will be held on September 11th. Assuming that goes well, the 103 will be done at the following board meeting, which is the 25th. And then assuming that goes well, the rule language will be effective October 26th. We also haven't received any public comment on the cannabis payment flexibility rules. So if anyone has any, feel free to chime in via the rules inbox.
Great, thank you. See you tomorrow. And then next up, Jeff Kildall would brief us on the 105 for gender neutral language. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Postman and board members Garrett and Bollendroff. At tomorrow's board meeting, I will present a CR 105 expedited rulemaking package to propose rule changes to several sections in Title 314 WAC. This rulemaking is for the purpose of updating gender-specific pronouns contained in the rules. This proposed rulemaking modernizes the agency's rule language to reflect contemporary standards of inclusivity and ensures that the language used in regulatory documents is non-discriminatory and is equitable for all individuals, regardless of gender. The expedited process under RCW 3405-353 is appropriate as the amendments are technical in nature with no substantive effect on the rules. So for a brief background on this project, the board accepted a rulemaking petition on May 8th, 2024 to replace gender-specific pronouns with gender-neutral terminology. This rulemaking would replace those outdated gender-specific pronouns with gender-neutral wording, thus aligning our rules with modern standards of inclusivity. And I will provide a little more detail about the specifics at tomorrow's board meeting. So thank you for allowing me to present this preview, and I am happy to answer any questions.
Great. Don't see any for today. So thanks, Mr. Kildall. We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
And that's the last item. Cassie, did you have anything else you wanted to come back to update, or did Daniel take care of that?
Sure, he took care of the cannabis payment flexibility, but I will follow up on the House Bill 2151 timelines. And so, going back to that, the 101 was filed on July 17th. We'll be having stakeholder engagement coming up in the next coming week. So anytime between September 9th and September 11th are the dates that we're considering right now. So that means the CR 102 would be filed on September 25th with the public hearing on November 6th and the CR 103 filed on November 20th. So that would mean the effective date would be December 21st, 2024. Unless there are any questions, that's all I have. Okay.
Okay, good. Thank you. See you tomorrow then. And that takes us to the last item on our agenda, which is just board member and executive assistant reports. Anything from the board to add? See nothing. Gretchen?
No, thank you, Chair.
Okay, well, with that, we will adjourn for the day, and we'll be back tomorrow morning for a board meeting at 10 o'clock. Thanks, everybody.